Hi everyone, my name is Khadrawali Sheikh. I'm a senior solution architect from Informatica. Today I'm going to discuss and demo on CLAI generated data classifications. What is CLAI? CLAI is Informatica's artificial intelligence engine, which uses machine learning to provide the recommendations and insights when you applied on Informatica services. Let's take a look at today's comprehensive agenda that we will be discussing as part of today's demo. We will be starting with learning what is data classification and its types, and then we will focus more on generated data classifications powered by CLAI. And then we'll see how and where we can enable these settings while creating a catalog source in Metadata Command Center. And we will submit the scan. Once the scan is completed, we can see where and how these results looks. And then we'll move on to the Cloud Data Governance and Catalog service. There we will review the results. Once we review the results, we'll talk about the association between the data elements with the generated data classifications. And we will see multiple ways of curating the association between the data elements and generated data classifications. One is using UI and doing a manual curation. Second one is using bulk upload sheet. And then we'll also see how to handle the CLAI generated data classification by promoting or rejecting it, and what is the consequences of that on the data elements. And in the end, we will see some useful queries that we can use on data classifications in cloud data governance to review the results on cloud data classifications. Let's begin with seeing what is a data classification. Data classification is the process of identifying and organizing the data into relevant categories based on the functional meaning of the data. In other words, data classification is nothing but labeling, applying the labels on top of the data elements, which are your fields or columns, based on the functional meaning of it. Classifying the data helps organizations to manage risk, compliance, and data security. We have three types of data classifications. One is data element classification, data entity classification, and third one is our focus topic, CLAI generated data classification. Data element classification is the smallest unit of the data classification. It refers to the classification of columns or fields of tables or files. Basically, you will be able to apply the labeling on the fields or columns of any table. Data element classification labels and categorize information contained in the data elements based on the metadata extracted from source systems and the facts collected as the result of data profiling. So it looks at the both combination. One is the metadata names, second the facts and the characteristics of the data through the profiling. Second one is data entity classification. This classification identifies data entities such as purchase order, invoice, customer, location, person, or address contained in the data set. Basically, this is a combination of data elements in any data set. So if you take an address, right? So you will have a city, first line address, zip code. So it's a combination of data elements. So when you have data entity classifications in a combination, then it makes a data entity classification. Example, you can take address or purchase order. In purchase order, you will have order ID, and product name. So which makes as a combination. That's where it says it's inclusive scope. And third one is CLAI generated data classification. Again, CLAI is Informatica's artificial intelligence engine. It uses machine learning. So when you enable a CLAI as part of the metadata command center configuring a catalog source, what it does is it automatically generates the classifications for the data elements. Normally, when you use data classification rules, you choose from predefined or a custom data classification rules. When you use CLAI, what it does is it uses the nomenclature of the technical data assets to generate classifications. meaning that nomenclature of data assets is nothing but it uses a very formal names and technical uh, to represent the technical data asset names. It also uses embedded dictionary to generate the data classification labels. If you select the generate data classification as part of the metadata scan, it generates the data classifications automatically, and you will be able to review the results in catalog, data governance, and catalog. When you use the generated data classifications powered by CLAI, it has the following advantages. You can generate the data classifications without creating data classification rules. So if you have to use a normal classification type, right? So you have to create your own rule which matches the pattern and content of that data element. But when you use CLAI, it automatically generates that. You don't need to create or need to know how you need to create a rule or what pattern you need to follow. You can generate data classifications even if you don't know which of existing predefined rule. So as I said, we don't need to know anything about. All you need to just apply this, and CLAI takes care of it by applying its artificial intelligence, and it uses nomenclature, meaning that very well defined a format to generate the labels for the data assets. Once you promote the generated data classification, system remembers and automatically accepts it. So when you accept a generated data classification, the system automatically remembers that, and next time when you run the scan, you don't need to curate it by accepting or rejecting. It will take that consideration before based on your previous actions. The best approach for using these data classifications is when you know the source, you can create your own data classification rules and apply it. When you not sure of the data sources or its patterns, the recommendation is to apply the generated data classification, and the artificial intelligence recommends the labels based on the names it reads. And once you get to know the type of the data, then you can create your own rules or predefined or customized rules to get the accurate results and data classifications. Now let's take a look at some screenshots where and how we can apply the generated data classifications before going to the demo. So you will be applying these generated classifications in metadata command center under the configuration while creating a catalog source. You just need to enable this. So we have two options here. One is to generate data classification. Another one is using a data classification rules. We will discuss more in the demo about it. Once you enable that and select generate data classification and submit the job, you will see the task with the name data classification. And when you enable generated data classification, you will see the task name auto classification underneath that. Once it is successfully completed, you will see the stats with the numbers like this. And here is how you can view the results or a generated data classification labeling on the technical asset, which is nothing but in a field or a column in a table. So this is the column name, and this is the generated classification on top of it. And this is how the association looks between a generated data classification and the data elements. So the very first view will be showing the association between number of catalogs and number of data elements association. When you click on this association, it will be further drill down and show the details like this. Let's dive into the demo now. We will see where and how to enable the generated data classifications in metadata command center. So we are in a metadata command center. This is my catalog source for Microsoft SQL Server. This is a registration page. You will be select the connection. Once this is successfully validated, you will be moving to the configuration page. In the configuration page, these are the different features that you can enable as part of your metadata scan. And we will be looking at the data classification. Here we have two different data classifications here. One is generated data classifications. The other one is data classification rules. So data classifications rules are the classifications which you have created based on your patterns, or the the kind of rules that you want to apply on the metadata assets and the data pattern. If you are well aware of the sources or the data patterns that you are scanning the metadata, then you can apply these data classification rules by choosing anyone from the list. So this list contains the out of the box data classifications provided by Informatica, also the one that you might have created previously by using some rules. So when you are not sure about that source, or this is the first time that you are scanning this metadata, then it is suggested to use the generated data classifications, so that CLAI takes a look at that all the metadata assets, and it provides the names to be tagged as labels on the data elements. So once you choose the generate data classifications, you can save the setting. And this button will be, the run button will be enabled. You can click on this to submit the scan, and you will be see all the subtasks as part of this metadata scan. I've already executed this for the purpose of the demo. Let's take a look at that results now. So this is the resource, and we will be able to see this information by going to the monitor. And when we come here, we'll be see all the tasks here, whatever you have chosen previously as part of your metadata scan. This is the data classification task, and auto classification is part of that because we have enabled the generated classifications. And you will be able to see all the results, how many data elements has been associated with the generated classifications, how many are promoted, and if there is any inferred, that information will be here. Now we have seen how to enable and submit the scan. Let's review the generated classifications in data governance and catalog. So there are different queries to view the general data classifications. Since we have submitted a scan and we are using a catalog source, let's try to see the general classifications as part of that. Okay. So the query for that is data elements with any generated classification, and we will be using the catalog source along with that. So we have 879 generated classifications associated with the data elements in this Microsoft SQL Server, meaning that 879 fields has the associations on that. So let's take a look at this and see how these results are. Let's look at this example last name. So the column of this, the name of the column is last name, and we can see the generated classification here. So generally people will try to look the data element classifications here. So these are the element classifications when you use the data element classification rules, and those will be tagged here. So when you use the generated data classifications, those recommendations will be appearing here. And once you promote or reject, right, that association will go for take the further action. So let's review this. So we are reviewing at generated classification, and name is last name, and it is applied on a 5 catalog sources so far. So there may be a different scans, and that's how the it works. And it has a total 13 association with the data elements. So these are the different scans submitted by the other users. Since we are looking at the generated classification last name, it is showing all this information. And as part of the our scan, this element from this one was tagged to here. So this is the last name, and this is from the Microsoft SQL Server catalog source, and we can see it here. So once you review all this, and if you want to take the further action to reject or accept this, you can select these ones and click on a promote, so that all these association between a data element and generated classifications will be into the accepted state. If you want to reject any of the association, right? So you have the option to reject here. To associate data elements with the generated data classifications, we need to promote the generated classification, meaning that you will not have the option to choose one by one to accept it. You can reject whatever you feel that are not aligned with the column names, and then reject them. Just for an example, right? Let me just show you how to reject a couple of them. Let's say you see this column name and the tagging is not correct, right? You can just select this column and come here and reject it. This will be removed. So now we have total 12 associations. So in this way, you can you can create the data elements association with the generated data classification. Once you feel that everything is correct, you can click on a promote button, so that all of these association will be converted into accepted state. So let's click on the promote. So when you're promoting it, if you want to associate this generated classification with existing rule names, you can pick that. Or if you want to create altogether a new one, you can choose this option. Click here to create a new data element classification. You can say last name. And you can give a description what you want and choose the sensitivity. Since this is a comes under PAI, I would give you a medium sensitivity level to it, and click on promote. So this job will take few minutes. Once that whatever the data elements we are seeing here, all this generated classification should get moved to this area, data element classification. This job is still in progress. It may take few more minutes. Let's wait for that. This promotion job is completed now. Let's review it. So let's go here. So you don't see promote or reject buttons are enabling now, because this job is already completed. And let's refresh the status. It's completed. Okay. So points to remember is you will not be able to select each and individual data element and associate the general classification with it. So you will be able to do it by promoting it. So when you're promoting the general classification, you are promoting the association with various catalogs. So before promoting it, carefully review all this information here and then promote it. And if anything you want to remove from the list before promoting, you have the option to selectively choose them like this. And when you click on this and reject, it will tell you how many you are about to how many you are selected and about to reject it. And you will not be able to selectively choose and accept it. The only way to promote it is by promoting this generated data classification. So once this is done, right, let's review how the labeling will appear on these data elements now. So let's take this column. Previously, we saw the labeling on this area, general classification. Since now we promoted this, it is completely accepted. Now we will be able to see this general label last name and the column last name under here. Let's review a few more. So we see it here, nothing on here. This way, you can curate the association between the data elements and the general classifications through UI in CDGC. Now, let's review, how many general data classification altogether we have in this catalog source, which are yet to be promoted and already promoted. The queries for that is so we have 12 generated classifications which are promoted. Let's see how the association between data elements and general classification looks like. So let's take an example of this. Since it is already promoted, we don't see these buttons getting enabled here. And these are the 40 associations with this. And we see all the associated elements name. And if we open this, we should be able to see the data element classification here, and nothing will be here. Since this is promoted, meaning that you accepted the association. Now let's look at the pending general classifications. So the query is general classifications which are not promoted. So these all has been generated by CLAI. We need to review and whether promote or reject these. So let's take one example on this. The book name is the generative classification. It has 7 associations, and this is from this resource. And since this is a pending, we get to see promote and reject. And let's take one example here to see how this looks like. So since it is yet to be promoted, we see this under here. So we have seen by promoting all this getting into, an accepted state. Now let's see what happens when we reject a generated data classification. So we can reject this. And what we are expecting by rejecting this, all these total data elements association with this general classification should be get disassociated, meaning that these labelings should get removed from this when we after the successful completion of the rejection job. So we have choose couple of data elements, and now let's go ahead and submit this job. Yes, reject. So we have submitted this job. Let's wait for a few minutes and then review it. Rejection job is completed now. Let's take a look at it. So when we refresh this, now it is showing status. When we click on this, right, let's just refresh this. So the expectation is this tag should be get removed from here. Yeah, since we rejected that promotion, it removed the tagging. it should happen on this one as well. So it happens on all the association, and also this one, the generator classification will also be removed from the catalog source. So you will not be able to see this further anymore. You don't have anything on that. This is how we can curate the data elements association with the generated data classification. In this approach, we selectively choose the data elements and then reviewed the recommendations from the CLAI and promoted the recommendations by promoting the generated data classification, and which converted the association between data element and data generated data classification into accepted state. And we also rejected some of the data element association with the generated classifications wherever we feel that it is incorrect, and we have rejected those records. So this is a good approach when you have a selective records or selective data elements or selective generated data classifications to act through UI in a CDGC. Hope you like this video. I'm going to cover the rest of the topics in my part 2. There I'll be talking more on how to use the bulk upload sheet to manage the association between data elements and generated data classifications, and also how to handle the generated data classifications. We'd love to hear the feedback from you. Please write us at supportvideos@informatica.com and support us on YouTube and Twitter. Please stay tuned for the part 2. And again, thank you for giving this opportunity. You have a wonderful day.